It's the Commissioner Corner podcast, episode number 11. That's right. We just hit double digits last week. We got a big show tonight. A press conference, a postseason press conference from the Cincinnati Bengals. Also, the Houston Texans have clinched the AFC Championship game, and we know the NFC Championship is going to be between the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. So we got a lot of news to talk about, a lot of Season 21 information to cover. So stay tuned for that and much more. All right, guys, it's January 28th. That's right. It's Saturday. It's the weekend. Lipp, how you doing?
I am doing great.
Lipp says I am doing great. This show is hosted by me. That's right, your host, Bomber, alongside my co-host and co-commissioner of the MBL. That's right, Lipp. And produced by Gibbs, one of the best in the business. That's right. He's always pulling the strings. And Lipp, you know how we always start this show off, right?
Oh, is it 2-minute drill time?
It's a 2-minute drill time. So that's what we're going to do right now. We got the 2-minute drill, and these questions are coming all over the board. We're talking quarterbacks, we're talking halfbacks, we're talking injuries. So Lipp, I hope you're ready. You got your brain going. You're revved up a little bit because these are going to be some pretty good questions. That's right, our 5 questions, 2-minute drill. We're going to begin right about. Let me take a deep breath. Now, Connor Cook, he's going to be out for the rest of the playoffs. However, Brock Osweiler has got the Texans to the AFC Championship game. Do you think Brock has what it takes to win it all in MBL Season 21?
Hey, man, Brock has played very well in the last couple games. Big win against Pittsburgh at the end of the year. He's got something to prove after Connor Cook has come in. He's played very well. I think he definitely has a shot.
So David Johnson is done in Arizona. He's been hurt a ton of times. He's going to hit the free agency, but where does he end up? That's the big question everybody wants to know the answer to.
I think this guy's got a lot of play left in him. He's a star both in running and catching the ball. So I think that he could go to a place like Chicago or Kansas City and be an absolute star for many years to come.
Former quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Blake Bortles, is set to make $10 million next season. Will he be the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons? Or are they going to go ahead and draft somebody with all those draft picks he had got and replace this guy?
Hey, they get a great quarterback. For $10 million this year, $10 million next year before he gets too expensive. They've given him only 1 year. They need to give him another year along with all these draft picks that they have loaded up for him to perform.
All right, big shout out to CMF, the owner of the Baltimore Ravens. He went from 1 win in NBL Season 20 to 5 wins in NBL Season 21. What does this Ravens team, and we know they got a stacked defense, what do they need to do to take this next step in the NBL?
Well, the defense is absolutely insane on the offensive side of the ball. Thomas Rawls has 50 broken tackles, 12 more than any other halfback in NBL. The only thing they need to do is take away the penalties. They have 4 more team penalties than anyone in the league, and they're the only team to be penalized for over 300 yards. They clean that up, they've got a real shot.
Discipline. And number 5, Drew Brees led the Jacksonville Jaguars to a starting 7-3 record before a collapse, finishing 1-5, making them an 8-8 team. He had 10 touchdowns, 29 interceptions. Does Drew Brees have anything left in the tank to offer this young Jacksonville Jaguars team?
This roster is incredibly talented, maybe one of the best in NBL right now. Do not waste it on Brees' declining years. Get rid of him, get a new quarterback, and that is by far one of the best young teams in NBL.
And that's right, another 2-minute drill by Lipp. I think he did pretty well on that one, man. You got some really interesting information. And with that being said, we're going to take it to commercial break. That's right, web3ks.com. That's our sponsor. You can get affordable graphics, quality graphics at an affordable price. So make sure you check them out, web3ks.com. And here's their little promo for the Commissioner Corner podcast. Are you looking for affordable graphic design? Well, the Madden Bomber League has you covered. Our sponsor at web3ks.com can do anything you want. They always go, Bomber, where'd you get those intros? Web3ks.com. Bomber, where'd you get them graphics? Web3ks.com. So you guys need to check it out. If you run a CFM, if you got a Twitter account, if you got a YouTube account, and you're looking for some nice, clean, affordable graphics, go to web3ks.com and he will fulfill all your graphics needs. And all right, we are back. That's right. It's your host, Bomber, alongside my co host, Lipp. And once again, big shout out to Gibbs, producing on the back end, doing a lot of things people don't really know about. So he's in for that Hall of Fame nominee right now. Probably going to pick that up, have a nice little trophy case, MBL Hall of Fame. He's going to be inside of that. So big shout out to him right now. We're moving on. We're talking season 21 postseason awards thus far. Lipp, we're looking at a graphic right now on the screen. Showing offensive player of the year, defensive players of the year, the MVP, Alston, the halfback from the New Orleans Saints, Callahan, big surprise defensive player of the year. Who steps out? Who just really just jumps out on you on that list that we're showing right there? The season 21 awards. Did you feel, man? Well, that guy, I thought he was a little underrated maybe, and he came in and won a nice award. He really showed up. Or who's surprising as someone that you're like, I don't know if they should be there.
Well, I'll go ahead and give you one for each side. Gabe Williamson really caught me off guard. That team was all about Derrick Henry and the run. Gabe Williamson comes in and just dominates. 70 receptions, over 1,300 yards. He averages 99 yards a game and had 9 touchdowns, and that is just an extremely great year, and that blew everyone's expectations away based on, like I said, the dominant run game that they had. On the other side, Callahan, that was a very surprising one just because it was a cornerback, but it does come from that Draco defense. He played very well. He had a very good mix of interceptions and sacks, much more all-around player, than people expect, and that's why he's there.
Yeah, definitely. Gabe Williamson, though, let's talk about him a little bit. I mean, how impressed were you with this guy coming out in Tennessee and just performing at such a high level in Tennessee? The team finished 8-8, but they had an opportunity to make the playoffs at the end. He was back in that game. He had a couple issues off the field, some league suspensions, but man, I don't think anybody can really stop this kid. Maybe like Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, man. The guy's got the size, the athleticism, and all the tools and the ability to get things done.
Yeah, he ripped into the league. I mean, this guy's a rookie. He comes in 102 yards, 172, 118, 125, 135 touchdowns in 6 of his first 7 games. This guy is just unbelievable. Definitely talking about him now, but I can see him being like those guys you just mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. He was the 7th overall pick for those wondering in NBL Season 20 rookie draft. He was from the U. That's right, the University of Miami. Guy's been a straight-up stud this year. 70 catches, 1,386 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That was his stat line, and, man, he finished strong. And mind you, man, the off-field issues had him in trouble from Week 14 to Week 16. Cleans those up, man. The guy really could break some records here in the NBL. But we got some breaking news, Lipp. Are you hearing that out of your earpiece? It looks like Sonny Weaver, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, started a press conference about 40 minutes ago. And I think we got a couple snippets that Gibbs is going to play, And we're going to talk about and assess this. What happened in this postseason from the Cincinnati Bengals? So Gibbs is going to show a little clip from that press conference live right now.
That was a tough loss. We controlled most of the game, I felt like. That late interception, obviously the pick 6, around 2.5 minutes left in the game, definitely changed the outcome of that game. I know immediately a lot of you guys are going to wonder if I'm faulting Dalton on that. That's something I'm going to have to talk to Coach Pagano about, figure out why we were throwing that late in the game when we were up. But obviously the running game wasn't going, and that probably had something to do with it. They still had their timeouts, not enough time there too much time there to run the clock out. So obviously there were probably some errors all up and down the coaching lineup there, but Coach Pagano and me will have a conversation about that eventually.
All right, man. There's some. I'm not one to read into things, Lipp. But when I see a quarterback like Andy Dalton, 31 years old, gonna be 32 in NBL season 22, eliminated from the playoffs a little early from those Buffalo Bills. Maybe they overestimated how good they were and underestimated how good the Buffalo Bills were. And mind you, Buffalo did not play with Sammy Watkins. Tevin Coleman was also hurt. So this was a depleted Buffalo Bills team at home that the Bengals were supposed to walk all over. And I heard Andy Dalton's name like 3 times in that 30-second little clip.
Yeah, and I think that the Bengals may have got ahead of themselves there. Looking at the Bills roster with all those injuries, they thought that there was no way. And the Bills come out and they hold this Bengals offense, which is supposed to be, high-powered top of the league. They hold them to just 16 points. They average 26 points a game. Bills hold them to just 16.
And what was the stat line, Andy Dalton, that game?
Andy Dalton had 307 yards passing that game.
That's good.
Where we're going to see the issues as 2 interceptions, and we all know that one at the end of the game, the big one, but still, only 1 touchdown for Andy Dalton, 2 picks. That's just not the kind of production that you want out of a guy that they're about to pay $20 million. There is some question whether they're going to bring him in, or let him stay or cut him. He is getting expensive, so there's a lot of questions with Andy Dalton moving forward.
Yeah, and let's just elaborate a little bit on Andy Dalton here. This is a guy who, as I said earlier, 31, going to turn 32. He had 30 touchdowns this year, 23 interceptions. Decent year for Andy Dalton, 94 QBR. Last year, he was sitting at a 93 QBR. So what Andy Dalton is now is what you're going to get. And those who don't know how that last game played out, okay, there was just under 2 minutes left in the game. I believe the Bengals were up 3 points. I believe it was 16-13, actually.
Yeah.
And what happened was Dalton throws it a flat, pick 6. Buffalo gets it. They go up, and they never look back with about a minute and a half left. And Buffalo ends up hanging on and winning that game. I mean, solely because of a bad, quick read from Andy Dalton. And that might have just sealed his fate in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and all these times of being a wild card over and over and over, I'm not sure if they believe Andy Dalton can get it done anymore. And if they do, or I'm sorry, if they don't, what's the point in putting $20 to $25 million of your cap space to a guy that you don't think can do it? We all know Sonny. I think that he would have no problem with cutting Dalton, bringing in a guy that will be just as productive as Dalton, but saving that money to maybe help out somewhere else and try to get him over that hump into a division and a first-round bye for playoffs.
Yeah, and we know these Bengals have a ton of first-round picks. They're going to be looking to make some moves and trying to get in that top 5. But once again, Sonny Weaver, the marketing guru, is trying to dominate our news cycle on our live show. The timeliness of this press conference, Lipp. He's trying to get on the Commissioner Corner podcast. That's what he's trying to do. So we're going to move on from him right now. We're not talking Bengals. They got eliminated by the Bills. Wild card round. They're done. They didn't live up to the hype. Moving on. We're going to talk about a team that's not just living up to the hype, but they're taking that to the next level, and that's the Houston Texans, owned by Doughboy. And I want to key out a certain guy that I think, man, this guy's got to have a big game, and that's going to be Kevin Johnson, cornerback. For the Houston Texans. That's right, 6 foot, 188 pounds, 26 years old. It's about time you were a first-round selection. We need to see some big plays from you if this Houston team is even going to have a chance to make it to MBL Season 21 Super Bowl, because we know on offense they're going to struggle with all the injuries and the depletion that they have.
Yeah, and I think whenever you look at this guy, on the defense, obviously, you've got Clowney, you've got Watt, you've got some guys. But in that back end, you need a guy that's going to step up and be a leader. What Kevin Johnson has done is come in. This is his third or fourth year. So he's come in, and he learns very fast. He's a very quick learner. So he can get the rest of that secondary learned up on what they need to do preparing to go in to play another team each week. This guy is the leader of that back end. Like I said, learns very fast. And gets this defense ready to play each week.
Yeah, they haven't really been tested, man. They played the Bills, who was obviously a depleted offensive team. So it was 2 offenses that were depleted by injury going at it. And just Texans defense always seems to step up in critical times. Do you see the Houston Texans having a legit opportunity here to maybe even win the MBL Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think that, look, they don't have a typical backup quarterback. I know Brock Osweiler is not what everybody thought he would be, but he's not a potato. He has starter potential. He just needs, some work in a good system to be a good starter. Connor Cook's obviously done a lot better than him, but Brock is not, the typical backup. So even though they don't have Connor Cook, Brock is a very good quarterback, and whenever you put him with DeAndre Hopkins, it could be scary. And with the way that defense plays, you've got now Lamar Miller playing well, 13 touchdowns this year.
Lamar's
they definitely
been
can
balling.
take him all the way.
Yeah, Lamar's been playing great. And shout out to CMF on that graphic. That graphic, what you're seeing up there on the screen, is actually versus the Colts, where he had Kevin Johnson had half of his interceptions on the season in one game. He only had 4 this year. That's why I say this guy is the X factor. He needs to do some lockdown coveraging because I'm thinking, and this is just me. I know you don't want to say nothing. You have a big game tonight, which we're about to actually get into your opponent here for a little bit. But I think Kevin Johnson needs to come up and play some great coverage against guys like Martavius Bryant and Antonio Brown, who I think they're going to be playing. I think it's going to be a Texans-Steelers AFC Championship game, and it's going to come down to the wire. I think the Texans are primed, and they are ready. But we're going to move on right now, and we're going to talk a little Steelers versus Raiders. That's right. Steelers versus Raiders is tonight. It's the last game in the divisional round. They're going to be playing tonight. And that hashtag Carr overrated, I said it would be dead on the MBL Live broadcast if they won Week 17, which was a big win against the Broncos. They had to win to get in, but I was lying because that ain't dead to me. That's going to take a lot more to make that dead. But we do have a clip that I wanted to show. Gibbs is going to pull up. It's basically Project Fat talking and making every excuse in the book for Derek Carr, and I'm pretty much just sick of it at this point. So Gibbs, let's go ahead and roll that clip of Mr. Excuses making a lot of excuses.
But I do think that we can definitely get Derek Carr to be more than just a game manager. You got to think, all year he hasn't had his entire receiving core. Cooper was done early or out early because of suspensions. And then he's, got injured his first week back. Tyler Eifert's been out for 5 weeks now. John Brown was out for a little bit. So this team has definitely been injured a lot this year. And obviously Carr has not been putting up the numbers you would expect from a guy of his caliber. But he's definitely done much better not turning the ball over is what we asked him to do. So he doesn't have all the yards and stuff to go along with it, but his touchdown to interception ratio in the second half of the season has been much more impressive, what we've wanted from him. And I think with Eifert possibly making a return next week, and if we're able to get past those Chargers, Cooper will be able to play in the following game after that. So I definitely think there's a lot of potential, and I think that's one thing we are looking to, but we also don't want to forget, the difference that Latavius Murray made for us all year long, and really carrying us this team on his back to yet another strong game today.
All right, just shut up already, Fat. I mean, he's got all these receivers, Lipp, and he's just consistent. Oh, they've been hurt. Oh, this guy was suspended. This guy's not playing no more. Arguably, the deepest wide receiver core in the NBL, and a top 10 halfback in the NBL, with a quarterback that's supposed to be top 5, Lipp. So why so many excuses from Oakland so far?
Well, I don't want to talk too much about this entire topic. I do want to point out 2 things. We talk about Carr being overrated, and whenever we get into the excuses of all this guy was hurt or all that guy was hurt, I know that if you look around the league, you've got so many guys who lose a player and they adjust, and they can adjust well. So I want to talk about Amari Cooper in 2 games this year. I want to point out. While you can say Amari Cooper was gone for most this year, I think he only played 4 games. If you look at the 2 games that he played early on in the season when he was perfectly healthy, everything was fine. Week 1, Derek Carr, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions.
Pathetic.
Go ahead to week 3. Once again, Amari Cooper's very healthy. Derek Carr, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. So you've thrown 1 touchdown and 5 interceptions. When your guy is healthy and you're going to say that injuries are the reason for not having success and turning the ball over too much, I'm sorry, but those 2 games right there, I cannot buy it with that.
Yeah, I don't believe you. You need more people. To quote my good friend Jay-Z, listen here. You got the Oakland Raiders, and this is why hashtag Carr overrated isn't dead. They're 9-7. 9-7. I honestly was hoping the Chiefs were going to get in, and that was my personal preference because I think Trey McIntyre battled an up and down season. Sophomore slump, I think he had one, but I think he kind of climbed out of that wall, and I think they were way more deserving than Oakland, who went on a run late because their schedule got a lot more favorable towards the end.
I will say this about those 2 teams. I actually kind of have the opposite opinion of you. I think that Oakland actually did a very good job of recognizing Whenever they only had one win, I think what were they 1-5? Whenever they were all in that position, they completely shifted it and started feeding the ball to Latavius Murray. And
No,
when
but they didn't have
started
a choice. I mean,
I know.
Come
but
on. I
once
mean,
they did,
how much credit am I going to give the blind man who drives into a pole and his car won't start anymore for not trying to continue to drive? I mean,
Hey.
that's where we're at. I mean,
now,
they kept throwing
you see
interceptions.
guys like this, they'll either keep throwing themselves into a hole by throwing picks or picks. But this guy, stayed on the ground, ran the ball well, and ran him right into a playoff spot. Now, on the other hand, look at Kansas City. I don't think they deserved a playoff spot at all because they would have gotten the playoffs with a conference record of 5-7. That's horrible.
Arguably the toughest division in the league, Lipp.
Horrible.
I mean, you got to step back and look at it that way.
In your division,
okay,
Trey McIntyre's got to step up.
That's 6 games. I mean, you're looking at other teams that play a lot weaker divisions that might have a better conference record, but it's not really reflective of who they're truly playing. And what division was AFC South match? I mean, the AFC West matched up again. Didn't they play Pittsburgh and Cincinnati? Wasn't that a part of the schedule this year?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's 8 games right there of quality opponents for Kansas City. And they finished 9-7. I think for a young team like that who doesn't have a dominant Amari Cooper that's going to get a 7-year, $84.3 million deal, they don't have a player on their team that even can ask for that kind of money. And I think Cooper took a favorable deal for the organization because he realizes that he needs to take less so they can get more talent on this team. Because even with all the talent they have, they're still struggling. It's just mind-blowing to me how badly this team played in stretches this season.
Yeah, as far as the talent, I mean, you could even take guys like Seth Roberts and put him on other teams, and he would be a very good 3. Some teams he might even be a 2. He's a very good receiver. Only caught 23 balls for the Raiders. You got John Brown.
Who was that?
Seth Roberts.
Seth Roberts. Yeah, Seth Roberts could easily be a 3 or 4 on another team, and he could be coming in and making some big catches. He's got that kind of ability, but he's taking this back seat because, as I said, this is an ultra-talented Oakland Raiders team on both sides of the ball. That's 9-7. That's a 56% winning percentage, Lipp. Explain to me how that is you getting the most out of the players you have.
Well, I don't think it can be explained, but the only thing that you can say is look at 2017. Still a very good team. I mean, you still have Amari Cooper, you still have Latavius Murray, you still have one of the better offensive lines, you still have a good defense. Derek Carr, 20 touchdowns, 38 interceptions.
You know what? Hey, let's stop. Let's stop. Look, he's going to be eliminated tonight, and he's done with, and we're not going to be talking about him on the next show. So we're just going to cut him short. It's over. We're going to move on. Let's move on to this commercial by Heartless. Have you seen it? This MBL promo?
I did take a sneak peek.
What did you think? I mean, out of a 5-star rating, I mean, we're up there like at 6 stars. I mean, someone's going to tell me 1 to 5 stars. I'm giving it 6. Yeah. Gibbs, you got that ready for us right now? Let's see if Gibbs can pull up that promo for us. We're gonna switch right to that promo. But that's right. This is the MBL promo for 2017. This is our commercial. I want to hear y'all's feedback. That's what we're gonna start the Crossfire with. The first subject is going to be this commercial, and we're going to talk about the feedback and the possible impact this could have on our league. As we're going to be debuting this commercial on other shows. We're going to be debuting this commercial on other YouTube channels. And we're going to get it out there, man. We're going to get our brand out there. It's already out there. We're just going to get it further out there. We're going to take it to space. That's what I like to say. So we're going to key up this promo right now. This is the MBL promo 2017 by Heartless. Big shout out to him. Great work. And Gibbs is going to get that up for us. All right, we're back, guys. How did you enjoy that MBL promo? Getting a couple Comments in the chat, John Blevins, Deck of Dogs saying promo is straight fire. Mr. Chunky, the number one prospect in the grid. I'm always going to give a shout out to you, Mr. Chunky, because being the number one prospect in the grid is an accomplishment in itself. That's right. You're going to be replacing the next guy in NBL that decides to take his bags and go, or he gets beaten. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, big shout out to him. He said he loved the promo. Porter's talking about the mock draft. I think that's going to be on the Blitz show. I think so, Lipp, right?
Yeah, we were going to have Gub on tonight and talk about it, but Madden doesn't allow scouting, the scouting boards to be open until we're in free agency. We're not even at the conference championship yet, so once we get past the Super Bowl and those boards open up, there's going to be a very good debate. I hear there's a lot of good information between Doughboy and Gub on the Blitz podcast, and that's going to be all about the mock draft.
All right, we got 20 guys watching right now. Guys, send us your topics. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about your team. What team are you in the NBL right now? We'll talk about them, and I'll give my thoughts on where I think you should go moving forward. And big shout out to James Carmody. I believe he's from like Australia or something like that, or somewhere in Europe maybe. I'm not even sure, but he's watching it right now, and it's 1:53 a.m. where he's at right now. Big shout out to you for checking out the NBL and always supporting us. First question we got up is Doughboy. He's asking, are the Lions and Steelers QB driven teams? Will they remain on top of the power rankings when Ben and Stafford are gone? Well, I can answer. I'll talk about my team. I don't like to speak on other teams unless I'm bashing the Raiders. And also, I was told by my producer, Gibbs, I need to lighten up on the Raiders. I was going a little too hard on him. So, with that being said, I'll apologize to the Raiders, man. They still got a fighting chance. I just don't see it happening, the upset tonight. They already pulled off one big upset against the San Diego Chargers in the wild card, which, I mean, I can commend them for that.
That was a hell of a game.
That was a hell of a game that came down to a missed field goal for those that didn't watch it. I believe it's on the Twitch channel for the San Diego Chargers Twitch, I believe. And it's Project Fat's Twitch. Stafford is young, Doughboy, so I don't know what you're talking about. I know you're struggling with the quarterback, Doughboy, and I know that it's really hurting you that I got this OP Matt Stafford somehow. But he's only 30 years old, bro. He's going to be here till the end of this Madden. So this quarterback-driven player with this quarterback-driven team is going to be in the driver's seat for a while. Now, Big Ben, a different story, man. He could go this year, Lipp.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. But,
he doesn't want. All right, so moving on. Let's move on.
No. I want to answer the question.
Okay, the question is when Big Ben leaves, and obviously Antonio Brown's getting older. Your teams, you already kind of fought that a little bit this year. You noticed it while you were playing. So is this, is this something that is concerning and alarming to you? Are you going to be able to stay on top when this happens?
Yeah.
Because Lucky Jordan didn't work out too well last time.
Lucky Jordan was very good in the regular season, pretty terrible in the playoffs. So we'll just leave that in the past. But yeah, without Big Ben, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to change. It's going to be tough. You're not going to be able to get down late in games. Big Ben rallies the entire offense and brings them back. It's going to be very tough. I think about it a lot, and I don't want to see Ben go, but I understand. He's getting old, and that's what happens to old guys, and they're gonna go.
Yeah. Who knows, man? He might stay 3 more years. You never know. All right, Homer's asking about his team. Should the Vikings stay where they are in the draft, and what should they take if they stay at 12? Well, what you want to do? And let me answer this. Homer's in my division. Homer, I've spanked you like a newborn since you got here, and you're continuing to get spanked. Let me give you some insight on what you need to do. You just need to get an offense, man. You lost Adrian Peterson. The productivity probably dropped a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more firepower on offense so you can keep up, so when your defense gives up a little bit, because your defense is very good, man. You became a very good defensive player. But if your offense can't put up points, good offense always beats good defense. You ever heard that saying? And I think it applies here. I think you go wide receiver, man. Lipp can give his thoughts on that, where you think Homer should go at 12 and if he should stay where he is or look to move up.
Yeah, I would have to agree. If you look at all this, the defense is very good. Every category
really
very good.
I mean, everybody in that division is good. The Bears defense is good. Obviously, the Draco defense, the Vikings defense, and the Packers. These are top 5 passing defenses in the NBL. So all very quality teams on defense in the NFC North. 100% don't want to knock any of them. But go ahead and continue to answer that.
Yeah, but you need to get up there in points. Right now, your defense allows 16 points a game, which is 5th best, which is really good. But on offense, they're 23rd. You're putting up the 23rd most points, and that is something that needs to change. Look, wide receiver would be a very good place to go in the draft. Right now, your running game is actually very good too, 10th in overall rushing. But you don't have a 1,000-yard receiver. You've got Stephon Diggs and Laquan Treadwell doing very good, but you need to get that offense up a little bit more. Teddy's doing good, but the offense is where you need to go for sure.
You got
to
to build your team. You got to build a team that can beat the person that's winning your division. That's how all teams should be built. Built to win your division, and then build to compete in the playoffs. That's how I always try to build my teams, and I think the Vikings are actually there talent-wise. Obviously, resigning Linval Joseph is big for this team, and they got him on a pretty good price, so that's going to definitely help solidify their defense for the years to come. But yeah, I think stay where you're at with 12 and go with the wide receiver if there's one there that you like, but definitely somewhere on the offensive side of the ball, maybe even tight end as well. Moving on, JY Movie Guy says, I almost dropped my phone there. JY says, rumors say that the Bucks are trading way down in the upcoming draft. Good move. Well, how far down and how much are you giving up, JY? That's what I want to know. That's how I'll be able to tell you if that's a good move. If you're giving up peanuts to get down in the top 5, I guess that's a really good move. But if you're giving up a ton, I don't know if that's a good move. I don't like risking my future. Lipp, you have a good theory about this Madden as far as drafting. Don't risk everything because, you can always still land a bust in these new Madden games.
I think if you're one of the top picks, it's always smarter to move down. Now, I'm not saying move completely out of the first, but I think that the days of getting a complete stud, like an absolute mind-blowing star, I think those days are kind of behind us. Might come back, but I don't think every draft there's just these outrageous stars and then it drops off. I think that some guys are a little better than others, but overall, you can get a guy to fill a need at a certain position if you move back. And what moving back does for you, moving up, you're going to sell a lot. You're going to get one guy that's just a little bit better than the other guys at that position.
It really comes down to development, Lipp. Yeah, if you can develop players, moving back is always, as you're saying, is always a great choice.
Fill a couple needs, and if your team is in that position where you've got to fill a bunch of holes, you can come in and in one season sign some great depth guys, draft a couple of stars, and really build your team really quick with moving back in the draft. Because I don't think that one pick at the high in the top 10 is going to change that much.
Well, Gibbs made a good point. He's in our ear right now. Gibbs, you want to tell him what you said? One position that you definitely.
One position I've always said is the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, he's right. I mean,
because
that's the only thing. But I mean, we're talking about the Bucks. They got Jameis Winston. They just paid him a lot of money. He got benched at the end of the year. So I mean, if JY's telling me he's looking to move up, right? Oh no, now he's saying he's looking to move back.
I like that.
Oh, so I mean, that's a good move for him. Yeah,
top
definitely
10
go
to
with
move
that.
back 25.
Yeah, I like that.
And I think if you don't need a quarterback, Gibbs is absolutely right. Quarterback, there's a huge difference between the top 3 quarterbacks in a draft.
Because anything you take late round in the first, you're probably reaching. He's probably a 3rd round quarterback. So
yeah, absolutely,
definitely. All right, so moving on, Decadog. We're gonna take like 3 more questions after this, man. So guys, start loading them up right now. I see Decadog asking at MBL Network, what's the consensus on the 49ers draft needs? Now this is now I want to give a shout out to Decadog because that is the MBL Most Improved Owner for MBL Season 21. You can find it on 365.maddenbomberleague.com. And that's a good award, man. Like Deca, like you don't understand. That was a unanimous vote for you. You only won 5 games this year, but that most improved is when we see something in you. If you look at all those most improved, they usually come back that next year and have really good seasons and look to compete for the next couple seasons. Now I'm looking at your team. Obviously, you know what I'm going to say when I say what do you need on the offensive side of the ball. It's going to be, you're going to be looking at offensive line or better running back. Carlos Hyde, 2.8 yards per carry. I mean, send him to Detroit, man. He's playing like a lion halfback. And Kenneth Virgil the same way at 2.9. Just didn't seem like you were getting enough production out of your halfback, so maybe look at halfback. But I'm not sure where he's drafting. I think he's drafting somewhere like 8 or 9 or 7. Do you know, Lipp?
I think it's in that range. I'm not sure the exact position, but it's between 5 and 10, I believe.
Yeah, and I think you can get a halfback later on. So I'd say your draft need would probably move down, split your picks, pick up another first, later on and possibly another second for this draft and get a halfback and just fill some starter positions and continue to grow your talent, because I really love Jamison Finley, one of the most exciting wide receivers in the NBL. Now, Ireland, the guy from Ireland, James, man, this guy's up at 2 a.m. He's saying, I'm going to need y'all to talk about my Rams. That's like the 3rd time he's asked. So let's talk about the Rams. We did a segment. We did a whole show on them, James. The last, let's see, was it the last time? Episode number 10? Our 10th episode, we did Contender or Pretender, and it was Jay Moon's St. Louis Rams, Los Angeles Rams, excuse me. And the Rams fell apart, man. They didn't show up to play, and they got beat by Dallas, and Dallas ended up just beating Washington today too. So Dallas is headed to the NFC Championship. I believe they got beat by Dallas, correct? Yeah, definitely Dallas, which was last night. Rams, man, tough team, man. They're young, but man, they were really disappointed in Goff's performance. He had 5 interceptions against Dallas in the wild card game at home. That just can't happen if you want to be an elite quarterback in the NBL.
Yeah, we've seen that they have the defense to play, but just something on offense doesn't seem to click there. I've seen a couple of times them just drop little hints about Jared Goff and his play, and I've seen him play, and he plays very well, but he does have those times where he will overthrow a guy. I'm looking at one of their needs. I like their offensive line. Obviously, Goff's your guy. You have Todd Gurley, and at wide receiver, you have Tavon Austin, which he can do everything. He can run, he can catch.
And they got another good.
Tyrone Jeffrey.
Yeah, that guy, man. He's gonna be a little baby Tavon Austin. They're pretty much one and the same.
Yeah, but your next guy, your big target is Brian Quick, who's 30 years old. He's getting a little slower, and I just would like to see them go out and get a guy that is big and Jared Goff can trust. If you look, he doesn't even really play. He's not even in this top area for receiving. So I think they need a bigger guy that can come up and step up, because right now they're number 1 and number 2, Tavon Austin, Tyrone Jeffrey. Yeah. They're both small. They're both 5'8". You need a guy
you're not giving good
6'3",
targets,
but not Jared or Brian Quick.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on. A lot of potential there in LA, though. Their defense is good, and they had a huge dominating performance against the Lions. Go check it out. It was on MBL Live. It was an embarrassing loss. I think I only put up 3 points. Very tough defensive side of the ball, especially Aaron Donald and Robert Quinn. 2 of the best defensive linemen in Madden 17 and in the NBL right now. All right, let's see what we got. Moving on. Will Paxton, I think there was one I missed over here. Oh, this is the one I wanted to ask. Who is Hurricane 216? I want to know who this is. It says Gub. I guess it's Gub. What's up, Gub? How's it going? Gub coming off a tough loss today to the Dallas. They beat Dallas 2 times in the regular season and came back and lost in the playoffs at home, 19-10. That's a pretty tough loss. But his question is, which is question I want to hear from you, Lipp. Do you see Backley returning to grid in Madden 18? This is a guy who's already quit NBL once, came back to grid, quit grid when the top 5 prospects came out. He was mad. He saw Mr. Chunky at number 1 dominating. He saw Hollywood Rams sitting there at number 4 or number 3. I can't remember where that guy's at, but he's up there too, doing some great work. We got Jiggy J-Rod, top moving up. So he saw all those guys and he said, man, I'm never going to get there, man. I ain't doing enough. So what do you think? Do you think Backley tries to make a return? Maybe he has a different name, maybe Frontley? What do we say about Frontley coming in?
Hey, I would love to see Frontley come around, because Frontley's a great guy. But Backley, I think if Madden comes out on August 23rd, he'll probably poke his head in the application area. Probably August 28th, maybe August 30th. I think that he will be back. He was a good owner for a while, but I don't know why. Just something made him very upset seeing people ahead of him, thinking maybe he just thought that because of his time there, he should be up there, but he just wasn't being as productive as guys like Mr. Chunky and so on. So I don't know, but I definitely expect him to be back.
Yeah, I don't expect him to be back, and if he does, I think under a different name. But to get in this list, Lipp, you got to contribute, man. That's what you got to do in the grid. You got to be coming to these shows that we're having right now. Look who I see in here. I see Mr. Chunky everywhere in here, man. I see Juggernaut in here, man. These are the guys that are coming to these shows and contributing and being a part of the chat and being part of the community, and that's exactly what we look for in owners in grid, along with doing contributions. All right. Will the Saints make a run is what – oh, you got something?
I would like to point out this season-long argument that we that Shadow Rose and I have been having.
Oh, about Adrian Peterson.
He just said, Lipp, you were right about AP. And I'm going to say, damn right I was right about him.
What did he do? He banged his wife or what?
You gave him 100 attempts. He got 370 yards all year, only 5 touchdowns. I saw that coming. Get over it.
Yeah, well, we all know an isolate is the king of the second and long draw that never works. So, I mean, I don't think AP was in the right situation, but AP probably will retire in the NBL
After that year?
Yeah, I think after that poor year, he might retire. All right, yeah, Decadog, definitely, it's a brotherhood. We got a couple more things right now. I'm getting a couple messages from my producer right now. Looks like will the Saints make a run? I got into it with Bananas earlier about his team, man. His guarantees of how great he's going to be and what his franchise is going to do. I mean, I thought he was selling me like a 1987 Pinto and telling me that's better than the 2017 Lamborghini. You don't need that Lamborghini. This is a Pinto, baby. So he's a used car salesman over there trying to, sell the crack dream to the New Orleans Saints. What do y'all think? What do you think? You think the Saints are going to be up there? I mean, I do like his team, and I think it does fit his play style, and I think they have a nice system over there. Brandon Cooks is coming along as one of the top 2-3 wide receivers in the NBL. You see older players like Antonio Brown fading off, and I see Brandon Cooks stepping up, and he's young, man. He's 24 years old. So I see a lot with New Orleans, and I think Dronette going down really hurt their chances this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that this was his year, though. Given the year that the Falcons had, they had a really bad year. I told Bananas at the beginning of this year, I thought that he would win the division. If he was going to do it, this was going to be his year to make a run. And I actually think I told him this morning, I'm predicting him, you can hold me to it, 7-9 next year. I think he's going to have a little bit of a down year. I think the MVP is going to go to his head. And I think they're just going to have a little bit of a down year and just barely miss the playoffs at 7-9.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about Austin from the New Orleans Saints. That was the NBL Season 21 most valuable player, and you can check him out on 365.maddenbomberleague.com. We have all the most valuable player history and all that kind of information, historical information about the NBL. Look what Le'Leon Austin did. Came off the practice squad of the Bucks. So you made a mistake there, JY. You should have held on to this guy. He's a stud. 216 carries, 1,500 yards, just over 1,502, 7 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns for Le'Leon Austin. Just tremendous stats, man. And I think if Craig Dronette, the quarterback, stays in, this would have been a different scenario. Possibly, I think they would have beat the Bears. I was really kind of I couldn't believe they lost to the Bears pretty much, and they got stomped by the Bears. It was like 24-3.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that they didn't put up any points, but this guy, I tell you what, if you have ever watched this guy play, he is extremely fun to watch because he's very patient and he's very quick. He can take the ball inside, and then he's taking the ball outside, and he's going the same speed up until that point where a hole opens up, and then he is just lightning fast through the hole, gone. The guy has just been unbelievable this season, and that's why he's the MVP. Nobody else could even compete with this guy. So many games over 100 yards, so many games, multi-touchdowns. He does it all, and just an absolute MVP for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he was a stud. I mean, I think our first unanimous one spot MVP. Let me tell y'all how we do the MVP. So we have a voting booth, essentially a digital voting booth where you rank your top 5 players, and we do the math on them, and we didn't even have to do a top 5. Everybody had Alston as number 1. So he got the most number 1 votes of any player before in NBL history. NBL Season 21 MVP, most valuable player, New Orleans Saints. That's right, Bananas team. Le'Leon Austin, a.k.a. they call him one and done because that's what the Saints were this year after the Bears put that slacking on him. All right, moving forward, Chris Conley. Will he stay a Kansas City Chief his entire career? I didn't know he was going anywhere, but somehow Brocco throws Kansas City talk into here. We can even talk about Kansas City, and he will still come in with a Kansas City question. He's relentless, fellas, but he's in the chat. We're going to acknowledge it. Currently, I guess they have – he's got 5 years left on his contract right now. What are you talking? What is this question? That's what happens when Spencer Murray panics, doesn't know what to ask. He asks about a guy he's got under contract.
Goodness.
Maybe it's a gotcha to see if we're paying attention so he can go, no. He's signed for 5 years. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it looks like Conley's going to stay for his Madden life at least. It'll take him to 31. Speed will regress by when he turns 28, so in a couple seasons. 6'3", man. Conley has all the intangibles, athletic-wise, that a wide receiver needs, man. 6'3", 205 pounds, can jump out the gym or can jump out the stadium, however you want to put it. Had a little bit of a down year from last year, as he is the receptions record holder in the NBL season 20. He had 78 receptions, 1,600 yards, and 9 touchdowns. This year, 61 catches, 1,248 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Now, is this a guy that is a legit number one for Kansas City, or is he just a product of the system?
I think that he could be a legit number one. He's very good, very talented. I need some clarification here. I don't know if my eyes are tricking me or what, but I do believe I see that he has
Lipp's counting.
7,
He's
8,
counting.
8 rushing touchdowns. Is that true?
No.
Can you check that?
I don't see eight rushing touchdowns. I see 8 touchdowns receiving.
Okay, I see. Never mind. That was my mistake. I was looking at the wrong column.
Did your grandma
Idiot
borrow
Lipp
your
was here.
glasses or what?
My bad.
All right, so let's just wrap it up. I mean, this show, we're getting a little off track on this one. All right, rushing touchdowns. It looks like okay. So Daddy Leaks has rushing kind of slotted over top of the touchdown, but it's off a little bit. We'll get with Poppy on that.
I'm getting older, guys. I'm getting older. You can't.
He's getting older, dude.
You can't
Antonio
expect me to
Brown's
see
getting
everything
older
anymore.
in NBL.
We're getting old
He's
in
getting older.
Pittsburgh.
We're getting older. Oh, Pittsburgh's getting old, man. They're looking for Lucky Jordan to come back, man. Maybe be a quarterback coach. Oh, and some quick news before we get out of here. I'm hearing out of New England that Tom Brady is interested in being a quarterback coach for Nick Doring this offseason to try to get his skills back under control, man. Guy had a really poor year in New England. Ended up getting benched for Jimmy Garoppolo. So
I'm sure there was some of that too.
Yeah, he was definitely getting that for Jimmy Garoppolo too. So I mean, man, just come back, Tom. That's what a nice lay is really. If he can get him in the facility working out, maybe he can slide him a jersey number, get him back on there, and maybe get something going that way. But that's going to do it for our show. That's right. It was episode number 11, Saturday, January 28th, man. We did it, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Thanks for all coming out. It looks like we had a good amount of fans come out and listen to the show. It looks like we were between like 18 and 21 throughout the whole time. So, I mean, that was one of our high shows. So I hope y'all enjoyed it and liked it. And give us any kind of feedback in the group me and let us know how it's going. So for myself, Bomber, for my co-host, Lipp, for the guy behind the scenes pulling the strings, if you know what I means. See, I rhymed it a little bit. That's right, Gibbs, our producer. Big shout out to him doing a lot of big things. We put this show together very quickly in like 30 minutes. And it came out very good, man. Came out the oven looking fresh like I've been in there all night. So I appreciate everybody who helped work on the show. And for all of us here and on to next time, we'll see y'all in a couple weeks. And we'll have a new show. And just send us a DM and let us know if you like the show.